Spookala! All right, if you guys are going to be in the cosplay contest, make sure you get over to the merch booth. Make sure you sign up over there. 3 o'clock, that's where you're going to be meeting, not in front of the stage, over there by the merch booth. Okay, this next panel, we're going to get us started here really quick. There is actually a hard stop on this panel. One of the guys has got to get to his travel, so this panel is going to end at 2:40, just so that way we don't impact that travel, okay? So if you don't get to have your question answered and you want to talk to one of the other gentlemen, you can go back over to their booth and you can continue the conversation there. Without further ado, we have a panel about the 3 Michaels, Chris Durand, Brad Loree, and Airon Armstrong. 3 Michaels!
I'm just fast.
Michael Myers is known for his speed.
He's his first show, I think, so I think he's kind of really something how important he's the one racing out to the airport. Testing. I got a girl in Kalamazoo.
Yeah. Not a problem. All right, so you guys have heard of the franchise that they're in, right? Halloween? Is it it's a... Man, I think you guys can give us a little bit more. Oh, look who else has joined us. Here he is. All right, so here's where we're going to start. Obviously, Halloween is one of the most pivotal franchises in all of horror. It was pretty much the one that started the trend for Halloween, Friday the 13th, and then everything that succeeded it. What does it feel like to you to know that you have played a part in probably the most seminal franchise in all of horror movie history?
I'll start this off. So to me, it's overwhelming. The really cool thing about it for me was I had no clue how big a deal this was when I did the film. So I never got in my head about it. But looking at it from the outside, it's almost as if we're in classic Hollywood and we got to play something like Frankenstein or Dracula. It's that big. So it's etched in the cinema history now. It's like this iconic role that kind of, like you said, launched all of these others. It's the original slasher. I sometimes don't know what to think, to be honest. It's just cool, and you guys are the best, and you make it work.
What about for the rest of you guys?
I think some people know that I'm not the world's biggest horror film fan, but I do love the first 2 Halloween movies. I mean, I love them all, and I really love the Michael Myers character. And when they called me in to meet the executives, I didn't know they were looking for Michael Myers. I thought they were looking for a stunt double for Austin Powers. So if it had been any other, I was doing another show at the time, and it paid very well, and I wasn't going anywhere until they told me I was going to be Michael Myers. And then the actor in me and the lover of the franchise said, "Brad, you got to do this." And it turned out to be the best move I've ever made, because the show I was working on went under in the 2nd season after 2.5 episodes. And now I get to travel and meet fans and hang out with you guys and see a bit of the States and Europe. And maybe one day get to Australia, so we'll see. But it's just a real honor to be a part of this franchise. It really is.
Yeah, it's a little mind-boggling growing up in the 80s, having John Carpenter as one of my favorite directors, to have that opportunity manifest, and then to be here now with all of you. The whole thing, there's a strange feeling of full circle manifestation from childhood dreams and passion into my reality, which it's mind-boggling to me, but I'm very grateful.
Okay, so we've talked to many other individuals that have played Michael Myers on the stage. And if you put Nick Castle on this side as the more psychological Michael Myers, and you put James Jude Courtney on the other side as the most insane, I'm going to light myself on fire and do the most absurd stunts you've ever seen, where do you think you'd slot your portrayal of Michael Myers if you got Nick Castle on this side and James Jude Courtney on this side?
I'm definitely much more towards the Nick Castle side. That was intentional to keep. You don't see a lot of the kills in H2O. You see the aftermath, and you fill in the blanks. So I think we did the psychological version, and I think it worked really well.
One of the things that appealed to me was Nick Castle's gait, the way he walked, because Michael Myers was just so creepy, the way he just keeps coming. So I definitely lean towards Nick. I mean, I love James, but I love the work he did. But the first two Halloweens are the franchise as far as I'm concerned.
You keep promising me that you're going to watch Halloween Kills, though. So
I am going to watch Halloween. I'm going to be honest with my opinion, though. I'll tell you that right now. He stunk.
I think we probably all tend to gravitate towards the Nick Castle side of things, only because that was how the character was created first, and then it's interesting though, when I was up for working on the film first, Halloween Kills first as a stunt coordinator, re-examining all the films and realizing that my image of the character wasn't necessarily from Nick or from one specific sequence or performer, or there's a zeitgeist that exists beyond. It's like the sum of the parts. There's something greater than any of the one performances, or the character takes on another life. Almost like a comic book where like you fill in the panels. There's a certain aspect to the mystique and mystery of the character that you add to it. But I think that was created at an early age for me with a combination of Nick and Dick Warlock.
So James Jude Courtney had stated that he has a place that he has to put his mind into to be able to play the character, and it's a scary place that he doesn't want to go into unless he's actually there. He's also stated that he won't ever put on the mask outside of the role because it's such a dark place that he has to be in with that mask on. How did you each prepare for that role, and do you feel like, are you okay with the mask being on outside of the performance? And do you feel like that place you have to go to is as dark as James Jude Courtney has said he has to get to?
I don't think the place I went to is that dark. It's focused. You got a job to portray, and you got to bring a certain energy to it. But I'm able to pick that up and drop it at will. It was also, there was scenes where it was fun, and you had to kind of keep yourself focused because you get distracted with what you're doing. But honestly, no, I just had a mindset that I would get into of I'm coming for you and there's nothing you can do to stop me. And there's an intensity that comes with that, but I'm able to drop that.
What about for the two of you?
I very much wanted Michael's eyes to look like a shark's, soulless and conscienceless. And I did kind of meditate. I mean, I didn't go method actor crazy on it, but I did meditate on what it would like to be a serial killer and why Michael does what he does and what does he feel about it, which I felt was, he's neither here nor there about it. It's just what he does. He's like a flower blossoming in the sun. It's just what he was made to do. And when like a cat playing with a mouse, when the mouse dies and stops playing the game, that's why he tilts his head, because he's confused as to why the game has stopped. Because he doesn't understand the finality of death. But I understand what James is talking about as far as, because if you're behind the mask and you say there's nothing's going to register, but there's a lot. We all read each other's eyes. We don't realize how much we read each other's eyes unconsciously. And if you're thinking about cotton candy while you're stabbing somebody, that's going to read. So I did spend some time, but I didn't kill anybody in reality. Okay.
Yeah, similar to Brad. I couldn't imagine the anger or hate or fear or anything that would actually make someone do the things that Michael does. I approached it, and there is a strange meditative thing that happens when you put on the mask, and it's like this echo chamber of your own breath, and you can't see very well. And so my own interpretation of the character is that for him, it's not, he doesn't hate you, he's not afraid of you, he's not trying to kill you, it's just, his reality is so skewed that he's just present, he's not thinking, it's just pure awareness. And so if he's standing there, he's not thinking evil thoughts, he's just hearing the wind, but then if he hears something, he goes towards it, and then his natural artistry and way, instead of a painter with a paintbrush, is with a knife. And I don't think he really understands that the kind of pain and hurt that he's causing. He thinks it's all just a creative expression. It's his own natural thing that's beyond thought, basically. So I tried to just be present, just be aware of breath, and simplify all thinking.
All right, so we'll go to a little bit more fun question, but I'm sure one that you guys would like to hear. So, who is your favorite Michael Myers on screen? And then who is your favorite actor that portrayed, whether it's actor, stuntman, that portrayed Michael Myers off screen, behind the scenes, and why? So it could be two different people. It could be the performance that you like the most on the screen, but then the guy that you like to joke around with on the backstage.
Backstage, wow.
I mean, I'm sure I can already tell that you're his favorite.
I am. No, the nod always goes to Nick. He's the original. So, we're at best second in line with that. That's just how that goes. Off screen, I don't know.
I don't care what anybody says. Nick Castle is Michael Myers, and but I at my very first convention got very close to Dick Warlock and his wife Kathy, and I've been calling him Uncle Dick. I can't even remember where that started, but he's my uncle, and he says I'm his favorite nephew. But he's my favorite guy, and I always look forward to seeing him when he's at the same shows as me. Because, he's getting on and he keeps threatening to retire. I just pray he's going to be in Pasadena for Halloween 50, so God willing.
Yeah, obviously Nick, I think I naturally gravitate more towards Dick Warlock's portrayal as far as like my own interpretation of some of the movement. In terms of behind the scenes, it's pretty amazing to get to know these guys, like just starting to get to know these guys a little better. I feel like there's a possibility Brad could potentially be my favorite in the future. We'll see.
Spoke like a true salesman.
But
shut up.
But no, the real amazing thing is getting to know all of them, and they all come from different backgrounds. They all have different stories, and then there's always this camaraderie and things that are similar. One thing I'll just mention that, like, in stunts, everyone has a different background, whether it's gymnastics or martial arts or motorcycles. And my favorite background of any stunt performer is Don Shanks, which is bear wrestling.
So you guys have brought up Dick Warlock a couple times. I don't know if you guys know that I think about 3 Spookalas ago, we had a Halloween 3 reunion here. We had about a half a dozen from Halloween 3, stunt actors and then on-screen actors. And that show showed such an unbelievable kinship between the cast members and the audience, because they started to sing the theme song that's in the movie, and the crowd all was roaring along with it. It was unbelievable seeing people that could have been grandchildren and great-grandchildren of the people that were on that stage singing along with the cast just as if it was something that just came out in the last year. Speak to how you guys feel about for being such a dark movie, how loving and caring it seems like all of your cast and all of your crew is together.
I mean, on any film, if you're together for a long time, you become a family, and you're on the same team. You're fighting for the same thing. Halloween, I think maybe it steps up a little because the original was so iconic that I think everyone really appreciates that they're there. They're not doing a new film they don't know. They're not doing something else, another genre, but they're doing something that's following such a classic. But I think everyone really appreciates it together, and we stuck together in H2O. It was great. It was tight. I had a wonderful cast around me. Some newbies that went on to do big things, and some seasoned veterans, but everyone was tight together. It was great.
I agree with pretty much everything Chris said. I really don't have anything to add to that. I didn't hear the question.
What do you think about the family aspect? It feels like Halloween more than some other movies. Everybody, no matter what movie you're in, they all have such a tight kinship. You all do.
Oh, okay, that's an interesting thing. Yeah, no, it's a great family to belong to. Like, I'm beyond honored, and you're right. It is a really familial franchise. But horror fans seem to be, they have a kind of a kindred spirit. And I tell people at home how horror fans are the nicest people I've ever met. Like, I don't get it. All they want to see is blood, guts, and gore. But they're super sweet people, giving the shirt off their back. And not just to me, because I'm Michael Myers, but to one another. I've never seen, I would trust any of these people with my life. And it's just I find it a bit of a dichotomy, because I don't understand how. But I think maybe these people are the people that were picked on as kids. Like, when I think of what makes you want to enjoy horror slasher films, did you get shoved into lockers as kids like I did and fantasize about maybe slitting some throats? I get it, so that's why we all kind of understand one another.
Yeah, there's definitely a duality to the whole thing. Halloween Kills was my first production in the genre, and I didn't realize how ridiculously fun it was going to be. There's something about the dichotomy of it, having everyone covered in fake blood and working sometimes 3-4 weeks of night shoots. It makes everyone just extra giddy, and it's more fun than any other genre I've ever worked on.
All right, so I'm going to open up the mic here in just a minute, but before we do that, I want to make sure we get to a couple of other things up here real quick before we go and open up that mic. So, when you guys are not hacking and slashing on the movie screen, what other things do you have going on? What other projects do you have working on right now that you can talk to people about, that you want people to be excited about, to see that you have happening coming up soon?
All right, I've got a big one, because we've been working on this for a little while. It's a thing called The Haunting of Darkenwell. It's a 1950s era Halloween-themed story. We've got 31 masks, which we've now designed, sculpted, and cast. A graphic novel, which we're releasing as comic book issues first. First 2 are already out. I'll be the titular character, and we're just gearing it up again. Come by the table, check it out. It's kind of a long, big process. I won't take up too much time here, but if we pull this off, we'll have another one.
Are you releasing the comic independently, or is it through like one of the larger publishers?
We had independent funding right before COVID struck, and then obviously when COVID happened, nobody could do anything, and so they reinvested elsewhere. So now we're back in talks, serious talks again for the financing. So hopefully we'll be up and running soon.
That's awesome. What about you guys? What else do you guys have going on when you're out hacking and slashing?
Buttering toast. No, I am, along with Ken Kersinger, unfortunately, have been on disability since '09. I originally fractured my back doing a high fall off the side of a helicopter, And then I got into 2 motorcycle accidents away from work. And then I gained all this weight during the pandemic that I'm having a heck of a time getting rid of. But I still go out for the odd, I would call it gravy day as a stunt guy when you're the passenger in the car or you're the one crossing the street before the... but I don't work a lot. I'm trying to do more conventions because I love to travel. They're hard in the back, but I've always loved to travel, and now I have the time. I have no work conflict. So my big project right now is staying sober and trying to lose some weight.
Hey, that's
I'm looking after my kittens.
What about you, Aaron? What are you doing when you're not hacking and slashing?
I'm still active stunt performer and stunt coordinator, and I'm doing a lot of writing. I just finished the post on a short film, action fantasy, punk rock, Lord of the Rings style thing called Middle City. Takes place in a fictional New York ruled by orcs and elves and men. And a band of sisters has to risk all to save the life of one of their own.
You guys are talking about some projects. I'm interested in every one of these things. I love it. All right, so we're going to open up the mic. If you've got some questions coming up here, so just remember, Aaron has got a hard stop at 2:40. We're going to try to stop the panel at 2:40, but he's absolutely got a hard stop at 2:40 because his ride to leave here leaves like 5 minutes after that. So if you've got a question for him, coming up here, let's make sure we get it real quick. First up, what's your name, my man?
Hi, I'm Matt. So my question is for all of you. In your respective films,
Step up just a little bit to the mic.
so in your respective films, was there a scene or a stunt that was cut that you just hated to see go?
Was there a respective scene or stunt that was cut from the film that you hated to see go?
There wasn't. There was and wasn't, and I'll tell the story. So, in the original dialogue with H2O, somebody suggested that when Adam drops the gun, that Michael would pick it up. And of course, it's a horrible idea, and everyone knew it. But Mustafa kind of flipped out and was like, "No gun, no gun!" And they thought that was so funny that he had such a hard reaction that when we did the table scene and I'm walking across the tables and you see her underneath and it hands up to me, he was there that day. So we actually shot this, it's out there somewhere. We did the whole thing exactly right, and when they panned up to me, I threw the knife away and pulled a gun out of my pocket. And it was dead silent for like 10 seconds. I'm like, I'm fired. And then he went, ah, and everyone realized what they were doing. And then we shot it for real. So it wasn't intended to be in there, but yeah, I wish I had that footage.
The only scene that I really was sorry to see go was my cameo as I think I was a police officer at the end. But the audience, the ending we shot did not test well, so they reshot the ending in New York. So they had to delete my scene. But I had a line or two. I was begging Rick to let me make a cameo, and I showed him my demo reel, and he gave me a couple of lines. But that whole scene ended up going away. So that's the scene but it's on the DVD behind the scenes, and I am fantastic.
Halloween Kills, the first script I read had a lot more in the flashback 70 world, which I was really excited about. That ended up getting cut down a lot, which was, disappointing just because I love that whole aspect from the production design and lighting, and then obviously to use Chris Nelson's version of the original mask. And then in Halloween Ends, when we first get into the cave, when we were in there, I pitched to David Gordon Green that we kind of do an homage to Conan the Barbarian when Conan is outrunning the dogs and he falls into the cave and he sees that like Atlantean king and he gets his sword and stuff. And so he liked the pitch, and we ended up shooting some similarly to that, where like the first time you see the shape, he's up on the wall in his own kind of contorted version of like a throne of his own little kingdom. And I thought that would have been such a cool way to see him, but then in terms of pacing and the story in there, that did not make it into the finished film.
All right, thanks a lot for that question, man. All right, next up, how you doing, man? Let them know your name and what's your question.
Hey, my name's Nico. It's nice meeting all of you again. I think all three of your films have great opening scenes, but I especially love Halloween Kills. take. It's my favorite of the whole franchise. Can you just talk about the flashback, like making it?
I think it was like 3 weeks of night shoots. It was pretty amazing. So exhausted every night. I don't know if you've ever been so tired where you start to fall asleep at red lights, but by the end of it, I would fall asleep at stop signs on the way back. But wake up, show up to work every day in 70s Haddonfield, which was just amazing. The Mike Simmons lighting, he really went for that Dean Cundy look, and it was amazing. The production design, the whole crew, just being there.
Nice meeting all of you.
All right, thanks a lot. All right, next up, if anybody wants to help her so she can bend the mic down so she can actually, you want to help her so she can actually be heard? Hey, how are you doing? What's your name?
Mariah, and my question, who is your favorite person?
Who's your favorite person, like in the whole entire world? Or like in the movie?
Like in the movie.
Okay, so in Halloween, who is your favorite person that they've ever worked with, or just period?
Just like the people who they work with.
Okay, who is your favorite person that you've ever worked with on any Halloween movie?
I had a great time working with Jamie. I mean, she was excited to come back, and we hit it off. We hung out. She gave me a hard time, which is always good. It's a good sign. If you're working together with people a lot and you're not giving each other a hard time, something's wrong. It's a sign of affection. So we had fun, and she would kind of get up in my face sometimes, and I'm gonna kick your ass, and I'm like, oh. You know, let's talk about getting in character and taking you out of character. Yeah, I had to overcome that a couple times, but she was great.
I have to go with Chris on that because Jamie Lee Curtis, we all had a crush on her if you're a heterosexual male, and she was very sweet to my girlfriend and I, and kind of took on a big sister role with us. But she was my favorite person in the Halloween movie, but my favorite person right now in the world is you.
I think that's three of a kind. Working with Jamie Lee was amazing. Growing up, watching 80s films and holding her in a certain light, as Brad is saying. But then her personality, and she's really tough. She didn't have a lot of stunts on Halloween Kills, but we had a little bit where she knees somebody and she falls down, and she would look so angry if I tried to put knee pads on her or put a pad down. So I had to secretly keep her safe, and then just, you know, the best I could do was hydrating her because she wouldn't take any help. But yeah, her spirit lifted up the whole crew and the whole production.
But Airon, on that same point, is this going still? On that same point, when I had to come through the van window, she was so helpful and so concerned about everyone on set. She was walking by, and what you do is you kind of rake up the landing area, soften up the dirt, pick any rocks up. She wandered by and said, "What are you doing?" We told her, and she just stopped and started picking up rocks with us and throwing them out of the way. So she may not have taken care of herself, but she took care of herself.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. All right, coming up next. Now you get to follow that up, man. No pressure.
Okay.
What's your name, man?
My name is McKinley.
How you doing, McKinley? What's your question, man?
Right now I'm shaking because I love Michael Myers, and he's my favorite horror icon all time. And for a question for you three, what was the scene that you shot when you wore the mask and the coveralls for the first time on set?
What was the scene that you shot when you wore the mask and the coveralls for the very first time?
Okay, so mine's a horrible story. We shot the exterior of the bathroom with the little girl and the mom on the very first day. And in that, they were supposed to come up and pull on the door for the women's room. It's locked, so they went in the men's room. Okay, so then I was going to peek out. It ended up not being in the movie. But what happened is nobody told her I was inside there, and nobody told me they were going to actually yank on the door, so nobody was holding it. So she swung the door wide. 5-year-old little girl swung it wide and saw Michael staring at her, went completely pale, and we were shut down for an hour. And I immediately ripped the mask off and ran outside, and I talked to her, and after about an hour, she's like, "You're not that bad." So
I don't think that's a bad story at all. I think that's an incredible story.
I felt so bad, but at the end of it, when she came and we did the interior stuff, she had planned to scare me, and we pulled that off, so she got me back.
First scene we did as Michael Myers was in the underground tunnel where he's walking away from the camera and Jamie's narrating over him walking away. And I just remember being so nervous because I just thought, because I was as nervous as I was and my heart was beating so fast, I tended to walk a little too fast, and Rick kept telling me to slow down, and I thought, if you don't get this walk right, if you screw this shot up, they're going to replace you. But we did it. They loved it, and I felt now I'm the guy. So that was it.
Yeah, similarly, during the pre-production, I got to design the action and the kills on Halloween Kills, so I got to wear like a mock-up suit for the previs for designing the action, but my first day on set was in the 78 Haddonfield world, and they started me about 2 blocks away from camera. And you've got a large crew behind camera waiting, and I'm a stuntman. Normally they call action, it's like some kind of explosive thing that you want to nail it, and then if you do a good job, you can usually tell the crew. They either say check the gate, moving on, and there's instant acknowledgement that it was successful. This was kind of the opposite of that, where they call action, I'm 2 blocks away, and the last thing I can do is rush to camera, So it was, all of that was going through my head and my body for, I think, the first block of action was like the slowest, calmest version of that action. And yeah, I think halfway through I was like, what? I'm getting replaced. This isn't gonna work. But I think by the end of it, we were able to nail it thanks to camera and lighting.
Good stuff. That's a great question, Matt. So I think we're going to be able to get through these next 3 questions before Airon has to jump out. So we're doing good time. So come on up. What's your name? What is your question?
Hi, my name's Christina. I'm a big Halloween fan, huge Scream fan. So my question is actually for Chris. Sorry, but I was curious. Throughout both those movies, they kind of share a similar soundtrack and everything, but you had some really great chase scenes, and like the Gale Weathers scene in the media center, one of the best ones I think ever. Did you have a favorite scene filming between those 2 films? Did you prefer playing Ghostface, or did you prefer playing Michael Myers? Did you have more fun?
So Ghostface was a lot more what I call pedestrian. It's supposed to be one of the cast. So Wes loved it if you slipped and bumped into things and were a little sloppy with it all. It was a lot easier to do. Still very fun, good high energy. Michael was very much more a movie where you had to have your pacing correct, and you had to have your intent correct, and you're kind of straddling a line between being a real person and an entity, and you're always kind of finding that balance between the two. I think probably one of the most powerful scenes is in H2O, is when we first meet at the window, because it's the first time that Jamie really realizes that I'm back. We know I'm back, but she doesn't yet. So between that and reaching out at the end, those were probably my 2 favorite scenes to do.
Thank you.
All right, good stuff. All right, we got 2 questions left. How you doing, Matt? Let them know your name and what the question is. Make sure you pull up to the mic.
My name is Nicholas, and my question is, throughout the entire Halloween series, what was your favorite kill?
Throughout the entire Halloween series, what's your favorite kill?
I'll take one from mine from H2O. My favorite kill was probably Adam when I lift him up in the hallway. And the reason it was my favorite kill, because it has nothing to do with killing Adam. It has everything to do with messing with Jamie. I lift him up and I stare her down, and it's kind of like, look what I'm doing to your toy, and look what I'm going to come do to you. So it's really a powerful, like it's a message to her. It's got nothing to do with killing. He's incidental, but that's why.
I have to say killing Jamie because I got a kiss out of the deal before she fell to her death. I'll see you in hell. Mwah.
That's hard to answer, but on Halloween Kills, the most challenging sequence to pull off was the fireman fight in front of the burning house. We were in really deep mud, which was constantly multiplying because the whole time the fire's burning, we had fire hoses going to play in the scene, but then also to keep it from burning too much. So the challenge of that, and then the finished product, that's probably my favorite.
All right, it's a good deal. So we're going to get to your question. So in the interest of time, to make sure that we have everything right, we're going to do our summoning of the show photographer so that way he can be ready. So as soon as this question's done, we can get our picture so that you can get into your gigantic stretch limousine and get your way all the way to your private jet.
It's a rickshaw, but okay, thank you.
All right, so you guys ready to summon the show photographer in your creepiest voice? And instead of saying Corey this time, we're going to say Michael. Ready? Count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Michael. Oh, hey, you know what? He still came up. Good job, Corey. All right, so let's get to this last question. What's your name and what's your question?
My name's Angel, and I just want to say, first and foremost, I think stunt people deserve more recognition as far as like the rewards and stuff like that. But my main question is, like, when you get hired to do, you know, a role, what is something physically and mentally you do to prepare?
What's something you physically and mentally do to prepare when you get cast as a stuntman?
I mean, the main thing is you need to train hard so that your body doesn't go into some kind of muscular shock actually doing the stunt. So especially as you get older as a stuntman, you have to train significantly to be able to maintain the body. And then after a hard day, you have to do a lot to make sure, because if you don't do anything, you just get knots and it gets tight and it just stays tight, you know. So, but I have learned through the purpose of needing my body for my work that the body is malleable. You know, if you hurt something, you can usually fix it with the proper mindset and dedication.
I think that stretching and flexibility is super important. For every day you're working and when you're offset, the more flexible you are, the longer career you're going to have and less injury. The supple tree branch bends with the weight of the snow. The stiff, rigid one breaks, snaps and breaks off.
That's a good Confucius saying right there. I like that.
I think it was Confucius. It wasn't me.
I agree with these guys, but I think something that a lot of people don't realize is we're part professional athlete, part actor. And we're the only sport, if you will, where you start and stop over 12, 14 hours. Anyone else goes and they perform. It's a game. The game starts. They play the game. They warm up. They do the game, and they're done. We're stopping for setups in between, sometimes for hours, and having to warm back up and be able to do stuff, and then stopping again for lunch and coming back. So it's really important, like you said, to maintain your overall physical health and your flexibility. Yeah.
Appreciate y'all. Thank you.
All right, so if you guys want to continue the conversation with either of these two gentlemen, feel free to go to their tables when we're done. So now, before we go, the four of us are going to go around the front side of this table. Corey's going to get a picture. But now you guys can give them a big, huge round of applause for Chris Durand, Loree, and Airon Armstrong.